Welcome everybody, this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call with Microsoft speakers happening, it is not November 18th, how did I miss that? Anyway, happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, it is November 25th. My name is Juvonen, I'm a Principal Product Manager for Microsoft, and today we have a super exciting call again with two different really cool demos showcasing the art of possible within Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. Now let's get on to the agenda. So we're going to go through the latest updates and news on the Microsoft and Power Platform side. I have collected actually all of the news from Ignite, from the blog post and everything else, and it is a massive list of things. We'll put it in a chat. If you're watching the recording afterwards, unfortunately, we cannot get all of those things mentioned in the description of the video because there is a 5,000 character limit in the description of the YouTube channel, YouTube videos. So we will need to not have all of them listed in the description, so I do apologize on that. Now, and then after that, we're going to go to the group picture into Kiddo mode, so hopefully that will working seamlessly today within Teams, and then we go to the actual stars of today. So we're going to start with Paolo. Paolo is going to talk about integrating Azure AI search for RAG in Copilot Studio. So basically, as you are using an agent, you are then connecting the Azure AI search for getting additional information for agent to make knowledgeable and wise decision on whatever task is in hand. And Paolo is going to talk about the scenarios, implementation, technical details on that one within the demo. And then following him, it's going to be me and Andrew Connell from Voitanos, and we're going to talk about the introduction of new toolchain on SharePoint Framework 122. So I'm going to do a quick intros on 122 and the roadmap on 122. On SharePoint, intro on SharePoint Framework, and then a quick recap on the roadmap on 122, 123, 124, and then Ace is going to actually showcase in practice what does the new toolchain actually mean within SharePoint Framework 122 within that demo. Will be exciting as well. SharePoint Framework is by far the most widely used and adapted extensibility model within Microsoft 365. So we're looking into providing this new capability with the upcoming release as well. Now, quick recap on all of the different assets which are available for you to get started on Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. First of all, these calls, these community calls, everything is getting recorded and they're getting published in the Microsoft Community Learning Videos YouTube channel. We do publish a lot of videos, almost too much videos. Even the YouTube keeps on telling us you shouldn't maybe publish this many videos, but there's so much awesome content available, so we don't want to actually keep them or delay for you getting access on them. So right now we are publishing at least one video every single day of the week. So it doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, and there's always new content within that YouTube channel. And that is by design because we want to make sure that latest and greatest videos are available for you to access. Now, we do have a LinkedIn page and group for discussion and updates. We do have a lot of open source assets, and the sample gallery makes it super easy to find those open source samples across multiple different organizations. So we're aggregating samples to AKMS community samples URL for easy access just by using a search query. So super cool and easy way for finding maybe there's a sample which is just matching your business use case, and you can adapt that implementation from there. A lot of the URLs to remember, all of those URLs can be, and even more can be found at AKMS community home URL or community MS that is actually redirecting to the same location. Now, we do have a lot of community calls. This is the Tuesday call 8 a.m. Pacific time, every single Tuesday except for the holiday season. So we're closing into the end of December, and that means that there is a holiday break within this Tuesday call, and that's going to start after the 16th of December call. So we do have at least one demo on the 16th of December, then we go for a break, and we'll be back on the 13th of January. So that's a pretty long break, but that comes back on the different public holidays here and there. So we didn't want to actually squeeze in Tuesday calls to be executed during that time. Now, the Thursday call, which is all about community demos across Copilot, SharePoint, Power Platform, and much more, which happens every single Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. That call will continue executing throughout the holiday season. Like in the past years, I don't think we have had a year where we have not delivered or not been there for these calls regardless of the time of the year. So like this Thursday, which is a Thanksgiving, that call will happen because Thanksgiving is celebrated in US and in the rest of the world. And there might be people who might be wanting to join on the call. And we do have actually 3 cool demos for this week on that call as well. During the holiday season on that Thursday call, we will actually transform that to be a bit more ad hoc demos. Let's coffee and tea together with the community and discussions and Q&A. But we're not going to cancel those. So you can expect us to be there on 25th of December or 31st of January as well, because we do not cancel. Now, on top of those calls, we do have Power Platform Monthly Community Call and Office Standard Monthly Community Call happening. Power Platform Monthly is with community demos. Office Standard it is with Microsoft demos. And you can see all of the details and much more calls actually at AKMS Community Calls URL. We're aggregating all of the different calls across dynamics and end users and champions to that one centralized URL, so you can actually access all of the awesomeness which is available for you to join and learn from. Now, and we also have the Meetup service, which is a great way of knowing the agenda for this call's advance as well. For a lot of these calls, we do welcome community demos, so you can easily sign up by going to this form and fill it up. It doesn't have to be rocket science, doesn't have to be open source. What we're looking for here is basically community demos on showcasing your approach on implementing something. You're telling other people how to get started on using something. Those are incredibly valuable for other people within the community. There's always a different approaches, different ways of adjusting and approaching for getting started scenarios and so on. So again, don't overthink it. Sign up for telling your story within filling the form as well. And we'll then contact you and get you scheduled on a next suitable slot. Now, as mentioned already, we do have a lot of samples available from our sample gallery. There has been actually a small technical issue on that one. We realized that today, so we don't see the quite latest samples there, but it's been worked on. But we do have more than 2,500 samples from Microsoft and community in a one centralized location. And you can filter based on the product filter on the left side, making it super easy to find the relevant sample for you. It might be Copilot declarative agent sample. All of that is available in here. It might be Power Apps. It's available in here. It might be SharePoint Framework. Absolutely available here. AKMS community samples as the location. Now, as you find a sample, you might be wondering, wait a minute, these samples are cool. I have a cool sample as well. I want to contribute my stuff in here where we absolutely celebrate you as the contributor. But then you might be wondering, how would I actually do that? That's where Sharing is Caring initiative is going to help you and get you unblocked. And directly from LA, here's David Warner explaining what is Sharing is Caring.
Yes, thank you, Vesa. So, friends, Sharing is Caring, as Vesa mentioned, is a hands-on experience, right? So we might be intimidated by that hub of Gits, that GitHub experience that uses terms like blame and fork and raw and pull requests. What do they mean? I don't know, but we're going to figure it out together in these sessions. They're live, they're hands-on, they are safe space, which means that you are free to ask any all questions without the fear of it going on record or anything like that. So absolutely take advantage of it. We're getting a couple set up just after the holidays for everybody in December, a couple sessions so that you can take advantage of learning how to contribute. And it is a live session and it is a live contribution. So why does that matter? Well, check out ak.ms/sharingiscaring for more, but also because it is a live contribution, you will get recognized. That is where our community recognition program comes in. You may have been seeing all those amazing, fun, cool badges being shared on the socials. They are accredited, powered by Credly. They showcase the work that you're doing. They are fun, but they are real. So they showcase the contributions you're making so that you can show to your manager, you can show to your client, that you're making a difference above and beyond everyone else. So please get involved. It's absolutely free. And coming up in the next, I guess the rest of this month, the next month, we've got our fun end of the year themed ones, Home Alone and Elf. So take advantage of these. Again, we like to have fun, but we also know that they are real and they are credited. So showcase them, show them off. I know your mom's proud and so are we. We love you for all you're doing. It is absolutely free, no cost at all, ak.ms/community/recognition. And be on the lookout. Some of these more are coming out soon. And if you have not contributed, again, take advantage of Sharing is Caring. We will absolutely ensure that you are recognized. Vesa, back to you in the Finland studios.
Excellent, thank you, LA, Helsinki taking over. So moving on events. So first of all, a quick recap. TechCon 365, Seattle, Atlanta, Dallas completed this year. Atlanta is coming. Chicago was just announced, and that's happening in June 15th, 2026. Please check out techcon365.com for more details on all of the content and plans. And maybe you're looking into speaking in one of these. Maybe you're an MVP or a speaker. So go to that TechCon 365. They will tell you whenever the call for content is there as well. Now, ESBC in Dublin is happening next week on 1st to 4th of December. There's going to be a one-day. First day is going to be workshops, awesome workshops for multiple MVPs delivering incredible content. And then we have 3 days of a real conference happening from 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of December with more than 100 speakers. So more details on this one at SharePointEurope.com. Really, really great setup. Now, European Collaboration Summit is happening 2026 on the 5th to 7th of May 2026 in Cologne, Germany. Super convenient location in the central of Europe, easily accessible, and that's looking into be a more than 3,000 attendees in one centralized location. Awesome venue. Awesome conference as well. On the top of that, there's a lot of community events happening all around the world, different gatherings, different small conferences, different events, which are great opportunities for you to meet other people within the community, all the way from US to Norway to Germany and India and so on. So please check out the list at communitydays.org and then see the closed location and go and meet up other people within the community. Now, last week, we went through the latest news, and we were basically saying as the community call was 8 a.m. on Tuesday, we were basically saying 1 hour from here, all of the news are coming out. And yes, oh boy, that was a lot of news. And that was a massive amount of news last Tuesday, which was released at the same time. I know that, thank you, David, on copy-pasting the list of this in the chat. And again, just a recap for anybody who's watching the recording, we could not squeeze in all of this news in the description of the video. We do apologize on that one, but we kept a few of them at least there. A lot of great announcements in Ignite for sure to follow up within today and following weeks. So really cool. Now, we also always cover and remind everybody on our PMP prompt library, a great way of contributing as well, getting one of those badges for your profile. This is a super convenient way of sharing your prompts, what you actually use, for example, in Microsoft Copilot or Copilot in Microsoft 365, or maybe in a GitHub Copilot, just teaching everybody how to actually get started on using the Copilot in an efficient way. And this week's prompt of the week is actually super valuable. It is a relatively simple from Connell, so thank you, Connell, for that one. But it's really on generating high-resolution QR code from whatever URL or from a text styled with a certain style. And I put an example there. Now, in my case, I used this prompt with the Microsoft Blue hex color code. And then I said, hey, here's a logo. Can you put this one in the middle of the QR code? And it did all of that automatically. That can be pretty nice. And it's working really seamlessly on that QR code on the screen as well. Really cool to see that. So great example on how you can use Copilot for improving your productivity. And thank you, Connell, on that one. Then it is time to go to the picture time. And I did saw Seb on the call. So Seb, you need to repeat your example. We've been using you as an example for the call. It's been a while since you've been here. But let's actually do the group photo switch. So let me flip to Get mode. Let me enable my camera as well. And let's see how fast we can fill in the room. And let me adjust the setting. Scene setting. That is so boring. The default is so boring. We're going to go. Where do we want to go today? Let's go to Auditorium Dark this time. And let me actually start Camtasia as well. Do we have Seb on the call? I can't find him in the screen. Oh, there you are. There we go. Excellent. I'm sorry. You've been missing the waving. Let's wait a few more time, and I can see AC already warming up. That's really good. Let's wait a few more seconds. We do have 50 seats in the room before we start waving. If we get more people on the screen, it is not, no, maybe we are hitting the max already. So let me actually put the recording on and let's do some hand waving. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, as long as I can find my mouse. There we go, 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving. Thank you for joining. Thank you, seeing familiar faces on the call. Always a pleasure, always awesome to see you here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of the community. It is a Thanksgiving week in US, but a lot of people joining still today. So thank you everybody for that one. Definitely. Always a pleasure to see you in here. Good. Let me then flip in here, and then it is time to go to the actual stars of the day. So we're gonna start with Paolo and focusing on Azure AI Search for RAG in Copilot Studio, and then we're gonna transition with me and AC Connell. We're gonna talk about SPFX 122 right after Paolo's presentation. But Paolo, I think you are ready to go.
Yes, I am. Can you see my screen?
We can see the screen. We can though see also the header panel. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Is it okay? Now it's better.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's gone. Okay, I think we are good. So take it away.
Okay. Thank you. So yes, today we are going to see how we can integrate Azure AI Search in Copilot Studio agents. Let me first of all try to explain you the context like we do usually, and then we will move to the actual practicalities of the demo. So why would you like to have Azure AI Search in Copilot Studio? Because through Azure AI Search, you can add additional knowledge bases to your agents, and by doing that, you can add business knowledge base, you can add support for content that you index with the vector-based search index of Azure AI Search. You can provide a really scalable and customizable solution for searching. And overall, from a Copilot Studio point of view, it is a very easy integration, as you will shortly see. So the overall idea is that whenever you have the need to customize the way you index content, and you have to provide quite a large amount of content, and you want to have your own customized indexings to feed the agent in Copilot Studio, using Azure AI Search is definitely a very good option to keep into account. So what do I mean? Well, that you can create an Azure AI Search instance. You can create an index, at least one in that instance, based on the content you want to index. And then you can configure that index as a knowledge base, as an additional knowledge base for your agent in Copilot Studio. And then you can simply, from an end user perspective, search the content using natural language and provide the output to the user. And you can even use some customized output so that, for example, you can build and render the output using adaptive cards or stuff like that. So it is a really interesting scenario whenever you want to create business level agents with Copilot Studio. Now, let me move to the actual demo, and little by little, let's see how we can achieve that goal. So let me move here to the browser. Here we are, and the demo we are going to see right now is actually part of the training material we have in the Copilot Developer Camp. And this is almost based on the lab number 8 that we have for Copilot Studio in the Maker pathway. So in case you want to dig into the same topic on your own environment, you just go there, and I just shared the link in the chat. And you can follow step by step all of the instructions, and you will be able to do exactly what I'm going to do now on your own tenant, on your own Copilot Studio, and with your own environment. So now let's move to Copilot Studio. And here what I want to do is to show you an hypothetical HR candidate management agent that I created, through which I can search for specific candidates based on their resumes. So when speaking about resumes, what we have is an actual list of fake resumes of hypothetical candidates. And just to give you an idea, these resumes provide information in different languages, as you can see, about hypothetical candidates that I want to evaluate based on their expertise, based on their profile. And as you can see, intentionally, we have content in multiple languages so that we can even show off the really powerful capabilities of the LLMs to being able to speak and understand multiple languages at once. So we have this list of candidates, and we want to do stuff like the following. So imagine we are in an agent. Now I'm going to use just the test UI of Copilot Studio. Let's say that we want to do something like, for example, providing a prompt like this one. Can you help me find candidates with software engineering experience? And by providing a prompt like this one, the agent itself will rely on a knowledge base that we have in this agent, which is actually based on Azure AI Search, and will retrieve the candidates who are matching the criteria that I provided in the prompt. And then we can even see later on more advanced prompts that we can use to search for our candidates. How can we make it possible in Copilot Studio? Well, first of all, you need to prepare your environment for that. So you need to have an Azure AI Search instance, and you need to prepare an index. That's what we explain you to do in the lab. And here, actually, for the sake of saving some time from a demo time perspective, I already created the Azure services that I need. And specifically, I need a blob storage account that I'm going to use to store all of the resumes, the PDF files of the resumes. Then I have in Azure AI Search instance, which is where I will create the index. And then I have the Azure OpenAI instance that I'm going to use to do the actual text embedding on the content of those PDFs. So basically extracting all of the text and converting all of the words into the numbers that I need in the vector-based index inside the Azure AI Search. These are the three services that I need. And of course, yes, I can zoom a bit the browser so you can see better. I hope it's any better now. Now, that said, what we are going to do is, as I said, in the Azure Blob Storage account, we have inside the containers a container which is called File Upload Resumes. And inside this one, I simply uploaded all of the PDFs that I was showing you before. Then we go into the Azure AI Search service, and from there we can use the Import Data New option, and by selecting this one, we can choose to import from the Azure Blob Storage the content we are looking for. So let's do that, Azure Blob Storage. Then we want to do retrieval augmented generation, for example, so I'm going to select RAG as the option, so that in this one, in case you need, you can even do object character recognition, and you can enable the capability to read images inside the content, which is actually not the case in our demo. We just have text in our resumes, but just to show you that you can even do that with these capabilities. So now I need to instruct Azure AI Search about where the content is. So I'm going to provide the link to the storage account that I want to use. I need to select the container where the resumes are stored, and then I can move to the next step, which means that I will need to define how I'm going to create the vector-based index on top of that content. Takes a while to do all of the technical checks on the Azure side, and as soon as it will be ready, I will be able to select the Azure OpenAI, and here we are, the Azure OpenAI instance that I want to use to do the actual text embedding on the content. So this is the one I'm going to use, and I will need to select a model that, of course, you will need to pre-provision, and that's in the list of instructions you have in the lab. It will be my text embedding, and then I need to acknowledge that by doing this operation, I will incur in some additional costs because I'm going to use the model to do text embedding, and so I'm going to pay the consumption of the OpenAI service, and that's okay. I can eventually do vectorization of images, and I can do extraction of text from images. I don't need it now because this is not the case in my scenario. I'm going to create and enable the semantic ranker on this index, and then I can give a name to this index, which could be, for example, resumes community, just for the sake of it. Okay, so it will take a little while, because these are just few resumes, something like 30-40 files, not a huge amount of data. And now it is already ready. So I can start searching on the index using the browser-based UI of Azure AI Search. And just for the sake of it, let's make a search, because I want to show you that here in the result, we have also the text vector with all of the vector-based values for the index we just created. But now what I want to actually do in my scenario is to go to Copilot Studio, and inside the agent, I want to use this new index as a knowledge base. So we can go to knowledge, Here you see I already have the index that I configured before, just for the sake of showing you the demo in action. But now if you want to add as an additional knowledge base the index that I just created, you simply select Add Knowledge. You select that you want to rely on Azure AI Search as one of the available options for the knowledge base. If it is the very first time you connect to the Azure AI Search instance, you will have to create a connection, which I already have because I'm already connected to that Azure AI Search instance. But if you want to create a new connection, you will simply need to provide the URL of the Azure AI Search service, which means you go to the Azure AI Search instance and you copy the URL from here. Okay, that's the value you need. And depending on how you want to authenticate to access the target endpoint, you can provide the access key, you can provide a certificate, or you can work with Entra ID, with a service principal, or with an integrated authentication. Now, for the sake of simplicity, and also in the lab, you can see in the Copilot camp, we rely on the primary key to access the target service, which means we need to go to the keys section in the settings, and we need to copy the value of the key. So you paste the value of the key, you create the connection, and you are good to go. Now, as I said, I already have a connection in place, so I don't need to create another one. As you can see right here, you can browse through all of the indexes you have in the search index, and that's an important information for you. It means that in a single instance of the Azure AI Search, you can create multiple indexes. And depending on what you want to do, you can use one or the other. For example, you could have an agent where you want to have different indexes for different type of content, and then using, for example, the generative answer action in Copilot Studio, you can choose which index you want to use to give an answer to the user. Now, let me use the resumes community that I just created, and by clicking Add to Agent, I will have my index added as a knowledge base inside my current agent. And that is really simple as that. So takes a while, and once it is ready, I have my index available as an additional knowledge base. Now, I already showed you the output, and then I will get rid of one of the two knowledge bases because it doesn't make any sense in this agent to have the same knowledge base twice, because basically even the also the other index is exactly based on the same content, okay? But what I want to show you is that, for example, when you go to topics and you create a new topic, whatever it will be, I don't care about the trigger, but I want to show you that you can rely on the generative answer action under the advanced section, and in there you can edit the data sources, and you can, for example, configure that you want to use one of the knowledge bases that you have configured. So again, back to my previous example, if you have multiple indexes in the same Azure AI Search, you can, for example, select which one you want to use to provide an answer to the user, and this is really, really powerful and easy to do. Plus, and moreover, you can go in the advanced section and you can say, no, I'm not just interested in the output of the search. Actually, give me the whole complete output and store it in a variable so that later on you can post-process it. You can say, don't send any actual message to the user, just give me the output of the search into a variable, and then you can play with that variable and you can create an adaptive car-based output. You can do whatever kind of reasoning you want on top of that output. And that's really, really powerful in my opinion. So now let me stop it here, this custom topic. Let me actually go back to the list of topics, and actually let me also get rid of the index that I just created, because as I said, this is just a copy of the other one we already have. And just to give you an idea of the powerful capabilities of this option before closing up, we can provide prompts like, for example, find candidates suitable for a senior role that requires at least 5 or more years of Python experience and fluency in Spanish. This kind of complex prompts and queries against my list of resumes allow me, leveraging the powerful capabilities of Azure AI Search and of the vector-based index, to find the actual output I'm looking for. As you can see here, it is now evaluating the available options, and I can get back the candidates who are matching the criteria that I provided. Okay, so that's really, really powerful and interesting. So again, and call to action for you: go to the Copilot camp, go through the lab and play with the exercise on your own environment. Let's see how powerful it is. Here you can find a link to the Copilot Dev Camp. In the Copilot Dev Camp, you can find plenty of options, not only for building agents with Copilot Studio, but also for building agents with SharePoint, in SharePoint agents, or with Copilot Studio Lite, or creating declarative agents and custom engine agents. And just for the sake of sharing additional links with you, here you can find the direct link to the Copilot Dev Camp and to the lab that we were talking about in this demo. So I think that's all for me. Thank you very much, and back to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Paolo. And that was fast, but really efficient. So thank you for showcasing the scenario. Really, really cool to get that storytelling recorded, and awesome to see that part of the Copilot camp as well. So everybody can actually walk through that within their own time. So awesome work. Thank you, Paolo, on that. Now, then we transition to a quick demo with me and AC. We're going to talk about introducing the new toolchain on SharePoint Framework. So let's actually get started on that. So introduction to new toolchain on SharePoint Framework 122, where SharePoint Framework, as we're recording this video, the SharePoint Framework 122 is in release candidate status. Release candidate already means that it's super close on GA. We're not intended to actually have changes on it. If we will have a significant changes, there's going to be another release candidate 2 before the general availability, but we're not aware of any changes what should be there. Before we go to the actual changes within the 122, I wanted to quickly recap the context and to get you on the right level and right situation on this one. So SharePoint Framework is the easiest way to build pro-code experiences in Microsoft 365. It is widely used by customers and partners all around the world to create extensibility within SharePoint or in Microsoft Teams or in Microsoft Viva. And you can, for example, use it to integrate to AI scenarios as well relatively easily. And we plan to evolve that in the future in making it even easier to do all of the different AI capabilities with SharePoint Framework. Now, SharePoint Framework has existed for quite a long time, and it has been GA'd for quite a long time. The growth is just out of this world. We continue seeing the growth all the time, and it keeps on growing. The reason why I showed the slide is more on anybody who's like, hey, wait a minute, so is SharePoint Framework still a thing? Are people using it? And the answer is yes, they keep on using it more and more and more, which is awesome to see based on our worldwide statistics. We do have tens of millions monthly active users using custom SharePoint Framework components across the Microsoft 365, which is awesome to see. Now, we have also started publishing a public roadmap for SharePoint Framework, and right now we've been publishing openly sharing 122, 123, and 124 as the upcoming versions. And 123 was initially planned to actually go live initially in late of October, then it was delayed to November. Now it's actually gonna plan to happen in December 2nd. That is a week from now on Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday next week on 3rd of December. And the main idea of 122 is really focusing on not bringing a new capabilities. It's basically resetting the baseline and platform and the tool chain. So first of all, cleaning all of the NPM audit issues, vulnerabilities, which are coming from NPM audit, and then transitioning from Gulp to an open back-based tool chain orchestrated by Heft. And as part of all of this work, we're also updating the default TypeScript version to 5.8, but there's no actual new versions or features within 122, which is important to understand. New baseline setting. And then with 123, we're looking into introducing new capabilities. Among other things, we're looking into open sourcing all of the SharePoint Framework solution templates directly to the GitHub, introducing new SPFX CLI, replacing the existing Yeoman generator, which is kind of a black box. You do not, as an external person, you have no idea what that actually does, but SPFX CLI is open source, so you're able to actually see what happens behind the scenes. You're able to suggest changes using pull requests directly within the GitHub as well. Then we're looking into introducing command set improvements, new edit and edit panel overrides to the list and libraries. So right now you can actually do custom forms but that's a transition within the page load, so you cannot overwrite the panels, and that's intended to be in 123. And then new debugging toolbar, eventually that's intended to actually replace the workbench, which might sound catastrophic. I'll think, no, don't do that. No. But the idea here is that you can actually really easily do debugging directly within the live pages or within the live dashboard using the debugging toolbar and associated capabilities. And then we are actually looking into collecting more feedback on developer satisfaction directly using the debugging toolbar. 124, we don't know that much detail or full list of features there yet, but navigation customizer override is intended to happen there. But that's a quick intros on where we are with SharePoint Framework as we're recording this in late November. And let's actually then deep dive on SharePoint Framework 122 and what are those toolchain changes on that side. And I'm pleased to announce Andrew Connell from Voitanos is actually covering this one too. We've been partnering with AC on many of the documentation and guidance and tutorials on SharePoint Framework for a long time. So AC, feel free to take it away and share your screen.
Cool. All right. So you could, if you want to just share my camera or spotlight my camera, I've got it set up until I have to share my screen. Does that work?
I'm not sure that's going to work for the recording that well in Teams. That's the challenge.
Oh, well, then let me share my screen. One sec.
I'm not sure what's going to get out of that. So just to avoid any conflicts there. So it's easier this way.
Can you see my screen now?
Yep, I can see the screen. Audio is good.
All right.
Take it away.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you very much, Vesa. Let me just kind of dive in. I'm going to show you a little bit here of I want to start with how this toolchain works so you can have a better understanding of just kind of like what, how you can kind of pick it apart when you want to figure out like, how is this working? How am I getting here? How do I start navigating it, et cetera. I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of questions about this. So just drop them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them as we go along. So first things first. So what's the big impact here? Well, from the get-go, gulp is out, heft is in. So what is the impact? So what you're looking at here, this is a brand new SPFX version 1.22 release candidate 0 project that I've created here. And what you'll notice here is there's no gulp file.js. That's one of the biggest things that you're going to see. That's a difference that is now just gone. Fundamentally, though, when you think about it, gulp and heft, they serve the exact same purpose. They're just task runners. They just run tasks. They do it in a very different way, but what Microsoft has done is they've decided to switch to heft. Okay, so how does heft work? Well, if you come into a brand new project that you've already created, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the right SPFX next. I'm going to make sure I'm on the right version of Node that's got this installed. And if I just do heft-h, and that should give me a list of all of the, let me shrink that up a little bit. That's going to give me a list of all of the different things that I can do from heft. Now, what it's showing me here is the same kind of thing as if I did gulp space -- tasks. It's giving me the same thing. So you see a little bit of information about how to use heft. And what it's doing then is it's going to show me all of these different commands that are available to us. Some of the commands like run are native heft things, and all these other ones like packaging solution, dev deploy, trust dev cert, untrust dev cert. You'll notice all those things are going to be very familiar to you. You're also going to notice some of them have a watch command on the end of it. So we've got like build and build watch. You've got test and test watch. This -watch thing, this is an extra command that's available to us where it can watch the files that are being edited. So if it needs to restart it, we've done something like that as well. So that's just how you can get a list of all the different commands that are available to you. And you can always learn more about a command if I just say, let's go back here. If I say like heft, let's say start -h, what options do I have? And it's going to show me all the different arguments that I can pass into this. All right. So that's one. Now, there's a couple things here that are also going to be a little bit different you're going to find from what we've done in the past. So when in the past, we used a task called gulp build to build our project. Other times you would then, after building it, you then want to create your bundle. So you'd say gulp build and then gulp bundle to create the bundle. In this case, in the new heft toolchain, the build phase does both of those things. So there's no reason really to have two separate stages for this. Instead, it's just now when you run build, it does a build and a bundle. You'll find some other things too, like for example, if I do the package solution -H. You'll see here there is no --ship like we used to have before. Now it is --production. So that's one of the other big changes. I'm going to let me just drop this link here in the chat. I've got a link that I just posted in the chat, and what that's going to do is it's going to take you to this page here where you see the toolchain, an overview of the toolchain. That's inside the SharePoint framework docs, and if you scroll down, you'll find this section, Build Toolchain and Dependencies. There's an overview of the whole of everything. You can see our old toolchain and then the Heft toolchain. It takes you straight to this page. All of these other pages in here are going to give you a lot more detail on how it works, how to use it, customizations, etc. In fact, you'll also find in here there is, I think it's in this one, it might be in the next page, where we actually have a table here understanding how this works and a comparison of the old tasks to the new tasks that we have in Heft. Okay, well, that's all fine and good, but how does this thing work? How do we use this? Well, under the covers, the way Heft works is that when you run Heft inside of a project that is configured for Heft, which the SharePoint Framework project is, what you're going to find is inside the package solution or the package.json, you're going to find that Heft is already installed locally, just like we did with Gulp. I will tell you that this is not required, but I will tell you that I think it is advantageous to you if you go install Heft globally as well. That's just as easy as just popping up the command prompt and saying npm install at rushstack/heft-g for installing it globally. I would do that because it's going to make your life a lot easier. You will see some spots where Microsoft tries to make it easier with these different scripts that you see here where they've got like predefined scripts. You can use those if you like. I'm just going to warn you that this can kind of create some confusion because if you try to add an argument to this, it gets pretty, to one of these, it gets pretty confusing. Like if I tried to run npm script package solution, which is going to run package solution, and then I do the space -- production on the end of it, it's not going to work. So yeah, I like to instead just go through and use the main command. Okay, so what Heft does when it first goes through and it runs this, it gives us the, it's going to give us a list of all of our commands. The way it finds those commands is it's usually going to go look inside of the config folder for a file called heft.json. Now these different commands, now you don't see it yet, and I'll explain why. But when you look at this, yeah, so I see Peter posted you can do that to make it work, but frankly, I think that's kind of there's really no reason to do that. And actually that won't work. You can't do npx run package solution. You'd have to, well, I guess you could do that, but it's just easier just to install Heft globally, to be honest with you. So the other thing that you can do with this is you can, so I said that you could have like a heft.json file, and that's going to list out what you saw here is all those different commands that I had in my command prompt a second ago. Let's go back to that. Heft H. So all these different commands that you saw here, like trust dev cert and build, or so we got build and test, all those that are here. The way it finds out what those are, each one of those different commands, those are actually called a phase, and all of those phases contain tasks, and each one of those tasks can be configured, all right? So we can have different settings for those things. Now, what Microsoft has done, or one of the things that Heft has the ability to support, and the SharePoint team has taken advantage of this, is that they have created a pre-configured build toolchain of all of these phases and their configurations already defined. That is called a rig inside of Heft. We can then take that rig and we can package it up into an npm package that we can then use in our different projects. So when you look over here in your dev dependencies, you'll see the SPFX web build rig. What that is doing is that is installing an npm package that contains our rig configuration. So if Heft doesn't find a heft.json file in the config, it then looks for this rig. This rig file, this rig.json file, is saying go look for a package called @Microsoft SPFX web build rig. Okay, so what I'm going to do is come over here to config. I'm going to go into my node modules. I'm then going to scroll down to Microsoft with this nice little lag that just started showing up for perfect timing. And if I look at SPFX SPFX web build rig, and I open up profiles, what you'll see is a default profile. So a rig package, which is what we're in right now, can contain multiple profiles. In this case here, we just have one. So I didn't have to say rig, what the rig profile name is. If I open up the config, I will find my heft.json. And what is inside this? But it will have a phases by name, and now you see all the phases defined. So what happens when I do a build? Well, a build is going to have a bunch of tasks, like it's going to do the Sass compiler, the TypeScript compiler, it's going to do linting, copying JavaScript, configuring Webpack, blah, 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 blah. All this other stuff is going to do and ultimately use Webpack. So that's how you can see like how these tasks are being defined. Now, what's kind of cool with this is that when you back up, if I look at one of these, like if I look at the TypeScript one, or if I look at the Sass one, what you'll notice here is that in the plugin, it's defined. So this is a plugin right here where we see it. This is or a phase name. This phase is using a plugin. That plugin is inside of this package, another NPM package. Okay. That plugin, and all of this is explained inside the docs. So if the docs that I linked to earlier, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of an overview on how to pick through this. All right. And when you look at a project, it's all pretty much self-describing. This Sass plugin, what it's going to do to configure this, we can make changes to it in our own project. So if I come over here inside of my config folder in my project, you're going to find there's already a file called sass.json. If I look at this sass.json file, you can see that what it's doing is it's extending an existing sass.json configuration, and it's doing it straight from the web build rig default profile we were just looking at a second ago. What's nice about this is if I want to come over here to the sass.json file, I can then come back into this and I can say, make a change to it. And I can say, well, let's go through and let's exclude certain files or only include certain files, right? And I can define all the files that I want to end up using inside of this configuration. What that will do when I extend the configuration, it will take the existing configuration and any changes that I apply to it will overwrite the ones that are already there, all right? So that allows me to have a much more configurable tool chain. Now, that's the gist of how a lot of this works. I will tell you that a couple things, and I see a couple questions here that I'm happy to answer in just a second if we have time. But a couple things that I want to touch on with this is that, what was I going to say? Like I said before, I would strongly recommend that you install Heft globally. That's one thing. Another thing too is that you may look at it and say, well, did we have with Gulp, we had this Gulp CLI that we had to install globally, which was different from Gulp. That concept is not required for Heft. That was a Gulp specific thing for a versioning challenge that they ran into many years ago. The same Heft package that we installed, that is installed in our project by default, is what we can install globally. All right. Now, the last thing that I'll say on this is I see a couple of questions here about, can we create new profiles? How do we customize some stuff? Absolutely. That's what the docs they go into. You can look at this page in the docs where how do you customize the tool chain with plugins? I can tell you that every single thing that we've looked at, and I've worked with Microsoft a bunch over the last few months, every scenario that we've run into that we had to do customizations between all this stuff in the past, we used to be able to, we can do all those same things with Heft. In fact, I think a lot of them are a lot easier and they're a lot more extensible than what we had before. So I know some of you are saying, I see some stuff in the chat where I can't tell if people are talking about this or what Paolo was saying before about hoping that there's that Copilot understands all this. It's the same thing we did with Heft, with Gulp, guys. It is you run a task, all right? If you don't want to do any customizations with your tool chain, that's perfectly fine. You just run tasks. If you want to go through and do customizations, I will tell you it is easier and it is much more portable and reusable with Heft than it was with Gulp. Wish we had more time to dive into that. And if we did, I'm happy to keep going, but I don't want to, I'm going to turn this back over to Vesa and let Vesa say whatever he wants to say.
I think it's let's not scare people more. No, yeah. Just to be clear there, like AC was saying, we'll set up another time when we're going through a bit more detailed on the extensibility model. I think it's more clear to have it as a separate video in the end as well. So just to avoid any confusion over there. But thank you AC on that one. Let me actually take the presentation, and that also leaves us a bit of time to actually close up the call as well. So thank you AC for showing that one. And again, like AC was saying, in simplicity, don't get now, Azy was deep diving on how things are actually working and how it actually mapping everything works. If you are just getting started on SPFX, there is no other differences than previously using gulp serve, and now you're using heft to start, and that's it. It's just the mapping between the different commands without you using as part of this tool chain transition. Now, if you're an advanced person on SPFX and these scenarios, heft actually provides you a lot of different opportunities and capabilities, and it's more future proven. We do use heft internally in Microsoft. Everything what is built with SharePoint, as an example, is built using heft tool chain. That's where some of this is coming from as well. So that's a quick recap on that one. So again, no other changes necessarily needed when you're transitioning from gulp to heft. Just what was the command and what is the new command, and everything is documented as well. So thank you for that one. Now, quick recap again on SharePoint Framework. If you go back on the intros and just on getting started on things, we have docs videos, monthly roadmap updates. We did actually just release the latest update on November. Monthly roadmap update went live 15 minutes before this call, and we want to do that in the last week of every single month. We started that in September 2025 and continue doing that in the future, just to avoid any confusion. What are the planned new versions and what's actually in the pipeline? And also, we really want to make sure that if you run into any issues related on SPFX, we do have our issue list. There's a separate discussion list as well. We're looking into having a discussion with anybody who wants to provide input for our planning. We also have an SPFX toolkit for VS Code extension, which is really cool. It is not, however, provided by Microsoft, so we are closely involved, but it's primarily led by the community on the development side. Great open source project, super powerful, have GitHub agentic integrations and all of that in it, and really simplifies SPFX development. And of course, that project is adapting now heft, so you don't need to necessarily even understand those commands, because you actually have buttons in the VS Code extension to just click a button to compile and build and all of that. And behind the scenes, it's using then gulp or heft as needed. So it is a really smart thing. Videos, issues, and a lot of samples available for you to get started. Feedback always welcome. So please continue providing us feedback through multiple different channels on the SharePoint framework. That's it for this one. Now, let's recap. We had Paolo talking about the integrating Azure AI search for RAG in Copilot Studio. Thank you, Paolo, on that one. Really powerful scenario for sure, and adding additional value, additional scenarios for Copilot Studio. And then we went through the upcoming changes on the new toolchain on SharePoint Framework 122. Today is November 25th, and that does mean that there's a release candidate 0 already out for the SharePoint Framework 122, and we're planning to roll that out in the next week, actually, unless we find any last-minute changes, which would delay that rollout. But that is the key point in 122 is that it's primarily toolchain changes, and so we are replatting the whole thing so that we are able to actually then go open source with CLIs, templates, and all of that in the future. That's kind of in our pipeline. For next week, which is the second. That is not a 2nd of November. My dates are really off within this. It's 2nd of December. So that seems to be hard for me to update that. Maybe Copilot will update that for me. Let's see. But next week on Tuesday, we do have E.T. Agarwal coming and sharing an update on the latest on the Microsoft 365 developer program. This E.T. is one of the, or she owns actually this program and the latest updates on that one. So that's really exciting to have her on the call to share updates. And then Paolo is here to talk about overview on Microsoft Copilot APIs. So there was a lot of new announcements on Ignite. On those, you can actually build super powerful capabilities with those APIs, and we're going to have a nice, cool demo on that one as well. Super cool. In the meanwhile, you can always use Discord server to do update to stay up to date with the community. We already have more than 2,980 members on that server. We're super close on hitting the 3,000 on that server. Please, if you're interested, do sign up so we can break the magical 3,000 members in that Discord server. Some people prefer using Discord. Some people prefer using some other options as well. Your call for sure on how do you engage. We try to be in all of the channels as needed, for sure helping on getting your questions answered. And we're always looking for feedback, especially on the community call content, ideas, and everything. What do you like, what do you don't like? Please if you have a few minutes to provide us input. That is super valuable for us to be able to continue doing these calls also in the future, because it proves the value of these calls, hopefully for you as well. But that's it for today. So the recording will be available within 24 hours at the YouTube channel. You cannot access the recording directly from this chat. That does not work. Cross-organizational access will not work. But that's why we are typically getting it out within 24 hours. Now, let's be honest. It's typically out roughly, I would say, 15 to 16 hours. So not only on 24 hours. So it's a bit faster. Somebody was asking that in the chat as well. And we do share updates. Obviously, subscribe to the channel. You know when the recording is available, and we do share updates in LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and X whenever the videos are available for you to get access. But that's it for now. Next call on December 2nd, 8 a.m. Pacific time. That is the same time as this call. Week from now, and you can always check the available calls at AKMS Community Calls URL. But thank you everybody for joining today, and we'll be back within a week. Thank you, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.